well, 1.5 years ago, we people came from Paris came to Amsterdam, and they didn't know what they didn't tell me on a Saturday like this. They came to the office. They wanted to talk about a project, but they didn't say what. And they were very how do you say it? Secretive, very secretive. And at some point, I said, "Well, you're from Paris. I only do the job if it's Chanel." And it was Chanel. They said, "How do you know?" I said, "Well, I don't know, but if it's Paris and if it's so secret, it must be something nice." And then they said, well, there will be a show in Palais de Tokyo in 2013 in Paris, and do you want to make a book about Chanel number 5? I said, "Well, of course. I wear it since I'm 14, so let's do it." And so what was very good about the whole project, literally they gave me carte blanche. They said, "Well, don't feel any limitation. You have the freedom and you have whatever you want, but it only has to. The subject is Chanel number 5." And they said, "Well, we invite you to come to Grasse, so to the south of France, where they have the roses and the jasmine." And I went they whatever. I had no idea at that time exactly what it would be, but I went to the apartment of Chanel. I went everywhere. To the factory, but at some point they said, "Well, come to Grasse and come to see the rose picking." And I thought, well, okay, let's go for one day. And when I arrived there and I saw all this beautiful scene of all these men and women in the heat picking these leaves of the petals of the rose, and I thought, and the smell was so intense. I thought, that's it. I know what I'm going to make: a white book, an invisible book, but something which is really present but not there. And so from the almost very beginning of the project, it took another year, I must say, almost a year, I knew that I would make a white book. I thought it should be a white book which has no smell, but you almost smell Chanel number 5, because I thought it was very obvious to put a smell in the book. I actually did it in the bouillon book. It has a smell, a bouillon soup smell, but here I thought it should be, if you go through the book, you should almost smell Chanel number 5. It's all this illusion that you have this Chanel number 5. It really matters if you wear Chanel 5 or any other brand. So for me, wearing Chanel 5 is very specific, because I also believe in Gabrielle Chanel. She released us from the corset, so and she was a very avant-garde lady. So wearing Chanel 5 is for me more than just, I think, a wonderful smell. So it's also a tribute, of course, to Coco Chanel, to envision this book, the person Chanel, but also to make a book which represents her, but also the illusion of Chanel 5. So a book which is not there, but yet very present. And what for me as a book designer these days, of course, is very important, is that this book as a PDF is nothing. It is blank, because it's not printed. It is embossed. It's embossed and debossed, and that means that the book is a relief. Every image you see is made with in white, and how can I say that? So also almost in these days a sort of ultimate book. So this book you have to see it real, and doesn't say anything on in digital media. So that's also sort of how do you say that? Also, if you make a book, you have to have a good idea. And I think, and if I had this idea for any other project, it will be totally useless. But to make a book for Chanel number 5, which is invisible perfume, and to make an almost invisible book made totally sense. So so all the ideas come together, and also here things come together. So it's this very specific book with this story about the world of Chanel. How could Gabrielle Chanel make this avant-garde perfume, the first artificial perfume with artificial ingredients? Is very interesting, minimalist packaging, and this fantastic bottle. That was only because she was surrounded by avant-garde artists like Dali, Picasso, Rivardie. So she was in this whole avant-garde world, and that's why she could make this extremely interesting bottle in 1921. The images you see here is, of course, the flowers. It was a sort of almost blatant to put a flower, because you talk about perfume and then put a flower, but these flowers, it's the jasmine. It's not even a rose, it's the jasmine. And but when I saw it, I thought it looks almost like Andy Warhol. And so I thought then, immediately with this first image, you're set on the right path, that this book is more about art than about anything else, because she was friends with Cocteau. This is a drawing of Gabrielle Chanel, made by by Jean Cocteau. She has no face, which I also thought was interesting. It's the art, the Dada art she was surrounded with. So I show the ingredients of the Chanel, but all very abstract. So it's an abstraction. It's the jasmine, it's vanilla, it's the chemicals which are in the perfume. You see here the how do you say that, the chemical how do you say that, the chemical the molecules. And one part, the thing they also really wanted me to use were quotes, which they wanted to use in the exhibition. So quotes by Chanel, but also by Ernst. I always have to look up his name, the person with whom she made the perfume. So the book became the evolution of the bottle. The book became a part of the exhibition. So first I wanted to have the quotes in this book somehow represented by just by text. But now, because of how the book looked, they said, well, the book becomes the spine of the exhibition. So there were 25 books opened in the exhibition with special light, so that you could read the quotes. And so the book became also a piece in the exhibition. But it's basically the story of Chanel at Rue Cambon, but living in the Ritz, that Marilyn Monroe wears her perfume, that it was a very spiritual lady, hand reading, so her hand is here. She was always reading tarot cards. She totally believed in astrology and in numerology. That's why the perfume is 5. And that's when I heard that, I thought, it's so funny. Every book I've made is based on numbers. Especially, I'm not so much into numero 5, what she is, but I'm into numero 3. But every book I've here on the table is based on mathematics. And it's not interesting to tell, but it's true. And when I found out that Chanel did the same, that she also calculated that all the numbers were important to her. So also for me, the numbers were important. So this book has the proportion of a Chanel numero 5 bottle. It's 5 centimeter high. For me, I couldn't do 500 pages because then I had a too thick book. But it's 300 pages, so that's my number 3. So it's all a calculation. And when I found out that she did the same, had the same sort of method of doing things, I felt very comfortable with her.